following is a presentation of the iRacing eSports Network.
It's time. Once again, the SuperTrucks are fully engaged and in action around one of the homes of motorsport. We're at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're back home again in Indiana, for this is round 9 of your V8 SuperTrucks Championship. Qualifying currently underway here at this fantastic 4.2 kilometer, 13-turn circuit. But before we get right into the mix, a retrospective of what happened last time out when we were racing these fantastic beasts.
Off of White's corner it goes. Kamertz and Zelensky wait for the green flag as we're underway for round number 8 of the V8 SuperTrucks Championship.
Oh, and Eric Andre, look at him sliding into turn number 2 there.
He's now forced to attack on the high side as it's 2x2. James Kane forced up high. David Barraclough boys his way on by as they work their way out of Moss. Has trouble in the S's. Wade Hayes has popped off the racetrack sideways and hit the tire barrier. Andre tries to outbrake him though on the high side, but can't carry the speed on the exit with the outbraking, but he is on the preferred line for turn number 9 through the S's. Trying to put off the crossover is Krutov, but couldn't get to where he needed to.
Krutov would imagine, how will he do it this time?
And they both bobble a bit, heading into the brakes. Andre tries to time it out well for the entrance for turn 9 to the S's. Krutov, though, on the right side gets the boost, as he'll hold on through White's corner.
The lap before was 0.3 faster. Last lap, 700. As King runs really wide through 3. This is going to give Krutov the opportunity now.
The defensive line, King slides up. Krutov goes low, as they'll go side by side through turn number 9. King, though, able to power off forward again as Krutov is squeezed a bit towards the right side as they head out of White's. Bobby Zelensky has been putting on a clinic since the start of the season, with 6 of the first 7 rounds going to him for victory lane. He'll now go 7 for 8 as he'll take the checkered flag while sliding at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the victory.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still shining bright through the sycamores for me. The new mown hay sends all its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, then I long for my Indiana home. Qualifying currently got 2 minutes and under, 2-minute warning at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Sven Kamet's currently on the top of the timing stands here on the iRacing eSports Network, brought to you by Racebot TV. I am #DoYouMind Jake Sperry, the observer of sim racing, joined by a good friend of mine, Tobias Brockman, here in the commentary booth. And Tobias, let's talk championship. Bobby Zelensky, 7 wins out of 8, and currently on the qualifying lap to try and make it 8 pole positions. No, scratch that, 9 pole positions out of 9.
Yeah, and Marco Morgan, he's the only one who can keep up a little bit with 1 win. So he's 58 points behind Bobby Zelensky in the standings. But 1 point behind as well, there is Sven Kammertz. And when I'm looking at the standings here, he's at the moment leading the qualifying.
He is leading the qualifying, but Zelensky all over the place, getting back onto the oval through IndyCar turn number 1, looking to make the charge over to the line. Bobby Zelensky, Slit Angle Motorsports, crosses the line, 124 flat, and you can see where all the time was scrubbed. It will not be pole position, it will only be position 5, and Zelensky has work to do if he wants to make that one work. Worth talking about as well here, Tobias, before we take ourselves over to the starting grid. The fact that the team's championship has been pretty much dominated so far by Radicals Online.
Yeah, they're leading at the moment with 565 points. 94 points behind, there is Slip Angle Motorsports, also in the Toyota, on P2. After that, there is Lambert's Racing, 442 points. That's already a gap, and they got penalty points as well. Off-Camera Motorsports is then following on 4th with 470 points, also in the Chevy, like Lambert's Racing. Wakiva Kinetic Racing, on the other hand, they are 200 points behind the leading team at the moment. And also is Team Bushfink Racing already presented with, let's say, penalty points.
Well, they are indeed, but qualifying is over, and the 16-car field is about to, well, 18-car field, sorry, is about to get behind the iRacing Roof First Safety Car. This is how things will stand.
I can't wait for this race.
Well, Tobias certainly can't wait, but I certainly can't either. Sven Kammertz in the 66 puts himself on pole position with Thomas O'Leary in second. Clamp Nation, Logan Clampett will start from third, with second in the championship, Marco Mogren in 4th position. 5th place for Bobby Zelensky, not his best qualifying effort, with Eric Blixt in 6th, James King 7th, and Martin Kapal in 8th place. Carl Streichert will start from 9th, and Racesport TV's very own Paul Smith will start this one from 10th position. Danny Solo and Shane Hunter are the last of the vehicles to set times. Then you have Dan Roper, Clifton Cockrell, Daniel Thompson, Justin Kruitoff, Eric Hall, and John Medeiros, rounding out 18 here for proceedings at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Remember, you can get social with us here on Racesport TV. You can follow us on Facebook and, of course, on the Twitter machine as well. But more importantly than that for the moment, just a couple of things that we need to talk about here before we get going for the pace lap, Tobias. And the big important thing first is that the road versus oval categories that we have, so some teams and drivers are classed as road, others are classed as oval. Road hold a commanding lead as things stands by a good 52 points as things stand. Not only that, in the manufacturers, it is domination at the moment from the Chevrolets over the Toyotas.
Yeah, and this is also a gap of 50 points, so it's pretty equal. But I think the oval guys, they can take back a little bit of points here because, you know, Indianapolis, the oval of the ovals, and the GP track has a fair amount of ovals, so we see a lot of drafting, I think.
We certainly will, and cold conditions here today in Indianapolis. It's 19 degrees in the air, 19 degrees on the track. Wind speeds gusting here through this 2.5 mile oval at 19 kilometers an hour. Rising humidity up at 83%. We're going to get a very quick chance then to talk briefly to Paul Smith. Paul, you're starting this one from 10th position, your first race of the season. Of course, we normally see you behind the cameras and in the commentary booth as well. How are you feeling for this one? P10, not bad for a qualifying effort. Is it just going to be a case of stay out of trouble today?
I would just like to finish this race today, quite frankly. It's a whole new experience. I'm used to front-wheel drive cars, and yeah, it's been, shall we say, a learning experience, but it's been enjoyable so far. But we'll see how we get on today.
We certainly will. Of course, later on in this race, we will be seeing Paul Smith's perspective from Paul Smith Cam that we have for this event. So that will be something very, very interesting to keep an eye on through this event. 24 laps worth of racing, 1 fuel stop required, and more importantly than that, it is going to be a race where positions are going to be vital. This could be the big turning point in a championship which has been needed for a very, very long time. It's been pretty much all Zelensky to this point, but with a championship that only lasts 12 rounds, and us at round number 9, only 3 rounds to go after this, and who wants to take the advantage heading to Virginia? Of course, the big difficulty is getting up onto the oval. Overtaking sometimes can be considered difficult here, especially in open-wheel cars. Of course, the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series came here last and had a lot of issues trying to find overtakes. The likes of the 5-time world champion Gregor Hutu making issues there, but they line back up too wide. On the inside is Sven Kamets in the 66. Outside row 1, Thomas O'Leary in the number 10. iRacing roof first safety car will peel off onto pit road momentarily, and round 9 of the V8 SuperTruck Series brought to you by Socks Out Racing is green and is underway, and it's a check-up at the start. Zelensky with nowhere to go dives to the inside. We're 4 wide as we head towards turn number 1. Kamets with a good shot over everybody else. Zelensky diving down to the inside, and it's O'Leary on the outside trying to go through. Clampett does very, very well as well in the 44. He holds on to it through turn number 2. Kamets clear crucially. Everyone pretty much clean through turn number 1 and 2. That's what we like to see, but it's still too wide, too deep as Clampett gets in the grass, and he'll drop a multitude of positions here, Tobias. Wow, wow, wee-wah. What a start we've had, and what happened indeed is what we need to ask, as now Zelensky looks to attack Marco Mogren. Championship implications then as they make their charge up this second straight as they look for turn number 8 out on circuit. A lovely sweeping left-hander looking to try and apply the power down. You're waiting as you head through these ever-decreasing radii corners, 9, then into 10, before you make your way through the very difficult right-handers that come to the end of the lap. Turn 11, and then onto the banking, turn number 12, followed by turn 13, and the big overtaking opportunities. Big train behind Paul Smith right now. Thompson gets a mistake. Carl Streichars looks to make his way around the outside, and does, but back to Zelensky in the number 1, because Marco Mogren may not have much to defend with coming out of 1, and he goes down to the inside, out of IndyCar turn 1, as they make their way towards turn 1 on this road course layout. To the outside tries Zelensky, not going to find it. Live timing and scoring available. Head over to racebot.tv/timing for that one. But Tobias, has to be said here, a very, very entertaining start, and Zelensky's got a position, but not on his rival.
Yeah, you could see from his onboard that is an unusual view for him. Cars in front of his, but the start was in total very, very clean indeed. And you see now the 89 car, he's getting a grip on the number 1 just behind. That is Eric Blixt. He's onto the rear of Zelensky, and he has to watch out now, not only in the front, but also in the rear.
He does have to watch out the rear as well, but here's Blix trying to line up a move, and he decides to back out of it then into 8. You have to be a very, very brave driver to make a move like that happen, but at the front, Sven Kamets holding over a second's advantage, which is pretty much putting him out of the draft range, which is so vital. These big, hunking, heavy machines that you have. Look at the train, though, now behind Kapal, Kuratov, Thompson, Clampett, Cockrell. Clampett now having to make a recovery drive through the field, as we've seen so many times out of him in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and now looking to line up that move on Thompson here as he looks to try and get it. Gonna look low side, try and make it happen through the final corner, and he gets right down to the tarmac. He's pinched, little bit of door-to-door, but that's what we like to see. Trading paints, you bet we are, as they stay too wide towards 1.
Yeah, they're still too wide, and I think 44 of Clampett, he's having a better hand now because he can turn him better, and he stays in front, which was unavoidable. So this was a nice move, but not yet.
Not yet, but he has made the move on Thompson, but he's got to get past Kuratov, Kapal, Streichars, and then Paul Smith as well, and that's going to be a very, very big challenge in terms of what he wants to get out of this event. And once more, Zelensky goes on the offensive here with Marco Mogren. The battle for third position out on circuit. Mogren, for the moment, has been putting himself just in the right positions, hasn't really needed to go aggressive at any given point in time. And there's a little look from Zelensky as he's starting to get antsy through the slower, winding sections of the track before trying to get back on the power. That's probably put him out of position if he wants to make a move. But once again, look at Clampett. He's harassing the rear of Justin Krutov, and if there was ever a trial by fire here, Tobias, it is at the hands of Clamp Nation.
Yeah, it definitely is, but look at this fighting right here. He's pushing so hard, and now he's getting to the 64 car of Martin Kapal. But I think there's a chance to draft back, I think.
Well, here we go. Here is the draft opportunity. He's going to pull to the outside, but crucially, Krutov has the draft from Martin Kapal here on this very, very cold evening here in Indiana. And on the brakes still, though, it is Logan Clampett better and taking the position away. That's just testament to how good he can be when he gets right on the binders. So next up in terms of his charge, Martin Kapal, who runs incredibly wide through turn number 3, and this is going to make him prone to an attack here from Clampett, who looks through 4 and now in towards his 5, and now to this big left-hander, sends one down to the inside. Room given by Kapal. He didn't have to in that situation. He has the inside for the next corner, but look at the superior traction of Clampett's machine. He's able to get himself through, and there is the difference in confidence levels between the two drivers.
Yeah, Kapal kind of lost it again in the entry of the turn. He understeered, and then when he noticed that Clampett is right into him, he just backs off a little because he wants to finish the race as well. With 10 minutes in, there's a lot more coming.
There is a lot more coming. Dan Roper is under pressure right now as he's actually got through this lap on James King in the number 23. That move being done into turn number 8 on circuit. A fantastic dive down to the inside. You rarely see overtakes there, but he was committed down the inside. Also gave him a little bit of a quarter panel as well for his troubles. So James King loses that position, and crucially Dan Roper gains one more. But Sven Kametz currently setting some pretty consistent lap times, 24/7. That last time by he was able to manage, but crucially enough, that gap is slowly extending to O'Leary, which is actually closed in at the moment to Mogren as here comes Clampett, and Clampett right now straight through on Carl Streichart as there's Kapal losing her place to Justin Krutov. Just like that, Logan Clampett is scything through the field.
It's very amazing to see drivers like this actually with these cars on these tracks. It's just not a miracle, but it's very lovely to see.
It is very lovely to see, and well, Logan Clampett doing a very good job. His next challenge is Paul Smith a little ways down the road, but what I was going to say is Marco Mogren was the fastest man last lap with a 1:24.6. He's trying to reel in Thomas O'Leary, but if he can get past O'Leary here, Tobias, he's got distance between himself and Zelensky. He can actually do damage in the championship.
Yeah, this can change a very lot because the points, if the first place, they get 100 points, so this is already a lot. So if now Zelensky stays in this position, this would mean 11 points of the difference for him.
And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, come the end of this race, the Hard Charger Award can be voted for with socks out racing. That, of course, is for those who have made positions. And right now, one of the biggest gainers, I have to say, is Dan Roper, 13th to 6th. So although you're seeing Logan Clampett charging his way up through the field here and actually making some great overtakes, Tobias, he won't be eligible for the Hard Charger Award because he started this race in 3rd position.
Yeah, he fell back to 9th. He's just trying to reduce the damage in the thing he has. But Dan Roper, he is pushing through. But look at this. The cars, they are moving all the time. It's very hard of a challenge, actually, to keep them on track. Because I tried them as well, and they're not as easy as they look here.
They are certainly not as easy as you look. You need to be trained, and not only do you need to be trained, they have recently just done an update on the iRacing service. These trucks now go faster than ever before, and they were thinking lap records as Paul Smith under pressure now from Logan Clampett. Clampett just eyeing up an opportunity here to get past the Yorkshireman here of Smith, and now looking down to the inside, trying to prise open the gap like a burglar in the night. He's unable to do so with his crowbar-like front horn, and now he's looking for an opportunity. Defensive line taken then by Smith as he heads through the final corner, but Clampett's not really going to mind too much here. He's going to look to the outside, try and make this happen. On board with Paul Smith as he charges towards turn number 1, and he'll be on the inside defending this one, leaving a good amount of space, but later on the brakes though is Clampett, and he will hold the outside line through 1, inside line for turn number 2, and Tobias, that's about as good of a move as I've seen Logan Clampett make this race.
Yeah, Clampett's really good on the brakes in turn 1. We saw already at least 3 overtakes right here. So the best thing for him to do is to stuck in behind someone, stay there, and then take them in turn 1.
And officially, Zelensky has been dropped by Marco Mogren, 1.7 seconds now behind and in a world of his own. But we're on lap 7 here of 24, and in the next few laps, Tobias, we'll start to think about pit stop windows. Of course, fuel numbers are going to be pretty similar, and of course, tyres needing to be changed as well. They burn through tyres so quickly on road courses. But what's very, very telling is that Marco Mogren's set is getting better and better as this race progresses.
Talk about the pit windows. They have the mandatory pit stop, and they have to change all 4 tires. So this starts at lap 6, I think. Yeah, 25%. This will another be a game changer. When do you want to pit? How long can you work with these tires? Do you want to get hold up in traffic, so you pit early, you get hold up in slow traffic, or do you wait till the end, but you make that slower because your tires are done?
Oh, and O'Leary is starting to look a little bit leery now with his driving style. Had to take 2 takes in towards turn number 1. He slowed it up nicely, but he is now fully at the whims of Marco Mogren, who is in 3rd position. Not only that, great scrap behind as Justin Kuratov holds off Kyle Streichart, I do believe, as Streichart was being harassed by Martin Kapal all throughout the front stretch. Now towards turn number 3, unable to make that move happen just yet, but Mogren looking to pick up a run, not close enough here towards turn number 8, and that's going to be very telling from Mogren. He wants to try and make things work for him. Pit lane officially open, says race control, so on lap 8, 1/3 distance, they say, you know what, you're now allowed to come in and make that big stop. But Marco Mogren, he's got 2 options here. Either he goes for the stop now and hopes, he prays that his tyres hold up for him, or he decides to stay and wait and make the move on track.
Yeah, making the move on track is a little bit harder, but pushing new cold tires is even worse, I think, in my opinion.
Well, of course, pushing cold tyres needs a lot of respect, and especially later in the event, the car is not going to, or the truck, sorry, is not going to come back to you. Gap across the line between 2nd and 3rd stands at just 0.3 of a second. Mogren being patient here, not wanting to be aggressive, but angling a nose to the inside there, slightly contrasting lines. Tobias, wouldn't you say that he's just trying to get into the mirrors right now of O'Leary?
Yeah, you want the pressure. Oh, now it's yeah, the number 10. So O'Leary, he's losing a little bit of pace. He's getting that pressure that we're just talking about. So when you just show yourself in the mirrors, just show yourself on the sides of the car a little bit without pushing, it still means that you pressure the guy in front.
Clamping around the outside at turn number 3. He's not able to do it through 5. He still holds it inside line for 6 for the number 44, and he will hold the position. But James King trying to run around the outside, unable to find it. Spinner though, that's Paul Smith just behind them, and that was all on his own, a mistake of his own doing. Just getting into the brakes, he was loose on entry, and that truck was always going to go around. Lucky that he has not really clipped anyone. He did get 1 tap though, and that tap was from the green 27 of Clifton Cockrell.
Yeah, just see in the replay, he just lost the car here. I mean, it happens. It depends on how you push the car, but when he got back, I think it was a little bit too early to go driving again.
Yeah, I think it was, but there wasn't really much room that Cockrell could use, so that's something to keep a mind on, and the stewards may have a little bit of a look at it. No takers so far onto pit road. I wonder if there will be this time for Paul Smith. Big late lunge looking from Marco Mogren. He's not close enough to make the move. He thought about it, but wasn't quite there to make it work, and the longer that he stays into that behind, he will be in a little bit of trouble. Martin Capal, though, trying to go down the inside of Kyle Streichert, and he'll get himself on the brakes, and he's got to try and stop it, though, and he's a little bit late to try and get to the second apex. Back around the outside goes Streichert, but he doesn't have the power, and he backs out of it, making sure that he doesn't do anything. Cockrell and Smith, then, the first two takers, then, onto pit road.
Yeah, Daniel Thompson, he got past Strikers as well right now, so he was pretty slow. I think now he's back on the throttle again, but we see Cliff and Cockrell now in the pits, and so are someone else. Now here we have also Paul Smith in the pits again for his repair on the left side here on the screen. On the rest side we go back to Kammertz, and he's still leading with now 2.5 seconds of a gap. Since Mogren and O'Leary are still fighting behind him and lose time.
Yes, and both of them are looking to try and stay as clean as possible between them. Let's look at Marco Mogren, though, because he's been looking for a run the last few laps, and he just hasn't been able to pick anything up, and he's close, but at the moment, no cigar at 0.3 of a second. Definitely a lot more aggressive on the brakes, able to close that gap up, but certainly nothing decisive. And he maybe has to look at a place where you don't normally see moves, maybe a dive into 4, as he may have a think about, and he's trying to pick that pocket once again and try and make a good position, but he's just not able to find what he wants. And now is where I question, do you dive down to pit road? You know you're struggling, but as you say that, O'Leary runs wide, but pinches the man on the exit of the corner. He diamonded off that corner well, and Mogren left with nowhere to go but to back out.
Yeah, and he's also losing a lot of time in the last turn before the start-finish line. This is where you should be close to the opponent. This is where you should get your draft and then blame it into turn 1.
Exactly, and that's what Mogren needs to start thinking about. Okay, how do I make this move? Because Zelensky will be charging if I stay here a little bit longer. As things stands, James King comes out of pit road after making his pit stop. No fast repairs in this series either, so once you break it, you have pretty much bought it. And for Paul Smith and Clifton Cockrell, it's a long, long day as Thomas O'Leary dives onto pit road, releases Marco Mogren. So O'Leary then decides to go for the early stop. Now that's going to be good on his tyres, as actually King did actually just have a spin as well. Thomas O'Leary onto pit road. This is vital here because he will be gaining that time, and he will try and catch out Sven Kamets here in the next couple of laps.
And also Blix has entered the pit lane just behind him. I wonder who is faster now in the undercut challenge, which they're doing right now at the moment. What are your guesses?
Well, my guess is that they'll be about a second a lap quicker around here, but of course those tyres will go away very, very quickly in these trucks, of course the Chevrolets and also the Toyotas. Martin Capal onto pit road now as well. So is Daniel Thompson, and Danny Solo also decides to dive down onto lane. So those drivers will be looking to get as much as they possibly can out of it. A quick pit road as well, a late cone as well to get back out on circuit. And crucially, Eric Blix comes out behind Shane Hunter, Thomas O'Leary in front of Shane Hunter. That's what he wants though, does O'Leary here, to buy some clean air to work with.
Yeah, it is clean air at the moment. But you never know what's happening now, because he now has to get the tires on temperature, because Mogren, he is still on perfect condition tires, talking about temperature, but now he's diving to the pits as well. So we see just after like this lap where he wants to position himself.
Race leader in Sven Kamets, also in Marco Mogren. This gives Bobby Zelensky the race lead as things stands. Dan Roper deciding to dive down to lane. Clampett also stays out as Kuratov also makes his way onto pit road. So it's a battle on pit road. Sven Kamets trying to minimize the damage being done by Thomas O'Leary and his stops. And O'Leary right now heading his way out of turn number 12 as things stand. So up onto the banking goes O'Leary. It'll be a quick stop for Kamets, but of course he's got to get up to speed, and he will have that ability to attack coming out of pit road. Also Marco Mogren looking to try and close the gap down. They both leave their boxes at exactly the same time, but the difference is advantage Kamets, as now here comes O'Leary on the brakes looking, and he's lost the position. It's an overcut that has worked out for Marco Mogren. It's a disaster for Thomas O'Leary, who has not had a good outlap at all here, Tobias.
No, that's exactly what I thought. The hot tires, they make the difference if they're on temperature, because the usage was kind of similar, but Mogren, he looked faster before, but he couldn't just get past O'Leary. And O'Leary now biting his fingernails, he wants to get back, but I think Mogren is just faster.
And if the overcut's working, then Bobby Zelensky may just be in the best position as he dives down onto the lane at the end of lap 13 of 24, just over the halfway stage in this event. We are expecting Logan Clampett to dive down onto the lane very, very soon, but he's going to make a late decision and over the grass as well. He's got to be careful about that and picking up any incident points, because there is a 21-point limit in this series, so he's got to be very careful. Kamet's now making his way out of 11. Mogren a lot closer than Kamet, so probably has taken a little bit less fuel in that stop than potentially Kamet's has. But Zelensky at the moment on the lane looking to get his service out and away. He's only been beaten once this season, that of course by the aforementioned Mogren, but through now will come to Kamet as he gets himself back into the race lead, as he has needed to do time and time again. Through will go O'Leary as well, and Bobby Zelensky no better than fourth at this stage.
Yeah, he's on the exact same position than he was before right now. So this is now how it's working out. I think there was just...
I just had a look at Sven Kamet's heading through turn number 3. He got 4 wheels drift. Not much, but enough that he had to probably just back out to the throttle slightly to make sure that the vehicle's there. And he's sliding again through turn number 6. He's trying everything right now to keep that vehicle pointed straight. He is under immense amounts of pressure right now, Tobias, from Marco Mogren.
Yeah, that was a scary moment. He was way too early on the throttle here. And these cars, they are loose. They just want to spin. And Morgan, he's pushing for it. So now Kamet is in a position where he wasn't before in the other laps, because now he has to fight for position.
He does have to fight for position right now, and every position is vital for Mogren as he needs to make his way past Kamet, get the race lead, the maximum 100 points, and do as much damage to Bobby Zelensky as humanely possible. The gap at the moment stands at about 0.7 of a second between the pair of them as Mogren closes that gap little by little, using the draft through the banking of turn number 1 IndyCar, and now that gap 0.6 of a second as they cross the line. Battle also going on, 23 and 46, too wide. Kuratov and James King. Kuratov trying to go around the outside through 12 and through 13. He's going to try and go low and pinch the man down low to the curb, but King's going to be there all the way. Side draft your way up there, but he's got not much to work with. Back into line he goes.
Yeah, but now there's the breaking point. He's very close on his rear. He's swerving out to the inside, but he is not trying it here. He's not putting himself in the danger of hitting the other car and spin them both out.
And now there's traffic to deal with. Carl Streichert is actually out there, and that's the race lead being changed. He hasn't made a stop yet, and he's on excessively old tyres as Streichert will lose the positions between the pair. So now Marco Mogren with that check up through 7. He gets the run here through 9 and 10 and 11. He will have that chance to really go out there and attack, but you can see how the dirty air effect, there's not much of it in these closed wheel vehicles, but enough that he's just unable to put that power down comparatively with Sven Kamet, and as such he is struggling to pick up a run towards 1.
Yeah, we saw that before. He's struggling with the draft out of turn 11 to turn 12 and 13. Back to the stretch. You see, there is not that different. There's too much of a difference between these cars to get to the braking point right.
Well, 3.5 of a second. Mogren is closing more and more. 3/10 taken off that last lap. The double take through 1 as he's hoping to hold on. Zelensky, though, on a storm. Thomas O'Leary suffering on the older tyres. He's got 2-lap older tyres compared to Zelensky, and Zelensky wants to use that advantage as much as possible. It's the 10 versus the 1 for third, and we got 2 battles, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all out on circuit fighting.
Yeah, and this is gonna be interesting now as we turn into the last 9 laps here onto the circuit, even last 8 laps. So what Zelensky has to do now, he has to put pressure on him, he has to overtake him just to save some precious points.
Well, every point matters, and it's damage limitation at this stage from Bobby Zelensky, and in terms of championship points that he would save if things were to remain as they were, I'm just keeping an eye on the points right now. 4th place scores 89, 3rd place scores 94 points, so 5-point swing if things stay as they are, and of course it's a 3-point swing if Marco Mogren makes his way up through. So Mogren knows he needs 3 extra points, and that would be an 11-point swing in his favour, heading to Virginia International Raceway for round 10 of the championship. But still, just staying out of the draft, maybe playing the waiting game at this stage as things look to try and develop. And not only that, 5th and 6th, shall we say, or 6th and 7th, currently a battle, as well as Logan Clampett is actually chasing down Dan Roper.
Yeah, Dan Roper, and that's not, I think, what he wants to, because they just switched positions beforehand. But to the battle between 1 and 2, Morgan tries to put the pressure on him, tries to make him do the mistake, but I just saw he just missed turn 11 again, so again there will be too much of a gap to do the drafting.
Well, now heading towards turn number 8 out on track, Mogren is hoping for a move. He's hoping that he's got this opportunity, and he again tries to get into the mirrors of Sven Kametz, and he is unable to do so. Kametz, though, very squirrely over that first curb, and that's just making life a little bit more difficult, taking a bit more life out of those rear tyres, which do not like being punished at all, as now Mogren looks to pick up the run. Zelensky also has a run on Thomas O'Leary, that one for the final spot on the podium, but let's focus on Marco Mogren in the 257, heading himself through turn 13, out on track, looking to pick up the run, and that gap, which was 3.366 in terms of thousandths, definitely a lot less now. It's down to just under 0.3 of a second, a shade, and not close enough on the brakes. Looks for it, but really didn't have any sort of run to make it happen. But there is traffic in front, which could be a vital helping point. O'Leary's overshot his braking point, though. Here comes Zelensky.
Oh, Zelensky is right at the back of this car, trying to go the outside. But no, this was a little bit too fast into the turn, and O'Leary, for the moment, will stay in front. Maybe just till the next turn. Ooh!
And he's got to get out of it, and he's sideways, and I think Zelensky's made one of the rare errors that we see out of him. Very rarely makes an error. 3rd best driver in terms of iRacing on ovals at over 9,000. And Bobby Zelensky, a mistake heading through turn number 5, puts him in all sorts of issues. He just went through 5 over the curb, a little bit sideways, trying to catch it. Then you've got tyres on the grass, and once you have tyres on the grass in these sorts of vehicles, it's almost like a human cannonball. You cannot stop them.
Yeah, and well saved from Zelensky here. I knew other people who would shot it just in the rear of O'Leary, but this thing here, he saved it, he kept it on track.
He did, and Shane Hunter out of the way then, as Marco Mogren and Sven Kametz both make their ways through. 6 laps to go in Indianapolis. And now for Sven Kametz, how long can you hold on, and how long is your buddy waiting behind you? As things stands, battles though going on further back in the pack. James King is being slowly reeled in by Daniel Thompson, as well as Martin Kapal desperately trying to stay with Justin Krutov, but nothing really extensive at this stage. So the race lead battle we continue with at the moment, and it has just been a case of he who makes the least mistakes is going to take this victory, it seems, Tobias.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen a mistake from someone, or we wouldn't think about doing a mistake, but Sven Kametz, he might be a surprise winner. It would be the first win for him for this season, but Morgan, he wants the second win in round 9, like 3 rounds before the final race. So the question is, can Kametz hold under pressure?
Well, at the moment he can, because Mogren was wide through 9, which has compromised his run through 10, and now through 11 he does not have the opportunity. Zelensky's back closing in again on Thomas O'Leary, and he knows he's got the tyre advantage, but does he have the patience and the capability to make his way around the number 10 Club UK and Ireland driver? 5 laps to go as they cross the yard of bricks. 0.4 of a second at the front. The gap behind closes down to just 1.2 seconds now for Thomas O'Leary. So there's 0.4 of a second knocked off by Zelensky, and Zelensky driving like a man possessed, knowing he just has to get up there and make positions here, Tobias.
He is on the charge. He almost totally made up the mistake he did. It looked like O'Leary was easing off a little bit to save on tires. Maybe this is a good idea because Zelensky, he's running on like thin rubber again.
And let's also put this into perspective. Maybe Marco Mogren is just happy staying behind because he doesn't maybe have enough fuel to get himself to the end. He did have a shorter stop than Sven Kametz.
Yeah, this could be 1 point. So he's just using the draft to save fuel because this does actually work. This might be a thing. I don't see him pushing too much. He's staying close behind, but it doesn't look like he wants to make a move.
No, he doesn't want to make the move yet, at least. A very aggressive line from Kametz there through 11 as well. And he wants to keep on pushing more and more and more as this race goes on, as these two have been pretty much nose to tail throughout the halfway point onwards in this event. It has been one of those races where Marco Mogren is playing this patient game comparatively with Sven Kametz. And let's just talk about your moves and shakers inside the top 10 for a moment. Dan Roper up 6 positions so far. Justin Krutov up an astonishing 8 positions in this event. There have been people who have been able to make overtakes and do them cleanly as well.
Yeah, especially Krutov, Roper, and Daniel Thompson as well. He's on 11. He made up 4 positions. But what we can see is also people losing 4 positions, like Danny Solo, for example. It's not his best run because he's 4 laps behind.
No, and it's not the best run for Paul Smith either. 5 laps behind, but we saw what happened to him. But Kametz all over in pressure right now as Marco Mogren is pretty much smothering that rear spoiler as they head in towards turn number 8 for the 21st time. It's 3 laps to go the next time they cross the line, and now Zelensky in 4th has caught back Thomas O'Leary again, and like a ghost of races past, Zelensky and that bright orange is trying to find a way to get through.
I'm really waiting for the move to happen because he can race. We saw it in the other 8 rounds before. Apart from one, he won everything. We told that so far. So O'Leary is now really under pressure, seeing the bright car with the black hood.
Well, he wants to see that, of course. We have Radicals online in position number 1. We have Radicals online in position number 2. Of course, the 6 Sideways sponsored car that we see as well. So you got Kametz then having to deal with his own teammates. And as we all know from NASCAR, especially when you go to a track called motorsport, Tobias, if your teammates, it doesn't matter when it comes to racing like this, you go out there for the win.
Yeah, a real race driver always wants to win. They don't go and help each other. They just race.
Zelensky close through turn number 6, trying to eye up a move potentially through 7 and through 8. Now trying to open up the corner, and he is nose to tail. Little wiggle then from O'Leary in the 10. No move from Mogren in front, but now Zelensky thinks about it here, looking for the idea, but the idea isn't going to be fully there. He'll have to sit and wait as he hopes to try and open it up, but a big slide heading through turn number 9, and there's going to be no line through 10, and another lap will go a begging. Popsicle sticks in the air. It's 2 laps to go at Indy.
Yeah, 2 laps to go, but Zelensky is not giving up. He will push the next 2 laps like his life would depend on it, that's for sure. But Kametz and Mogren, they're keeping it really simple right now.
And let's not forget that he's got to keep it clean, does Zelensky. A penalty to start at the back of the grid at Virginia is arguably one of the toughest places to start from the back at, and he knows it better than anybody else at this stage. On the brakes into turns numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4, and through 2, Zelensky close, but not really in a position where he has himself a good chance to challenge. Also got Daniel Thompson now, who's caught the rear of James King. This is the battle for 10th position. Thompson trying to go up 5 positions as things stands now, Tobias, but not close enough just yet, I don't think, to make a move unless he's a brave boy on the brakes.
Yeah, he really has to dive bomb his way through, I think. But let's see, the draft won't be enough, so either he dive bombs or he just calls it a day.
Well, here's Zelensky as well, looking to try and make the move. So Thompson at the moment unable to make that one work. Zelensky still not in a position to make it happen. Mogren's been sitting and waiting, and this will soon be his last chance. This will be his best opportunity to make a run, unless they are playing multi-21 orders at Radicals Online. And I know for a fact that Rob Cuss does not do multi-21 orders, team boss at Radicals Online. Marco Mogren then, 1 shot remaining. It's the white flag at Indy as we got 1 lap to go. Zelensky looking to eye up the move as well. And for the moment, Sven Kametz safe on the brakes into the prime overtaking opportunity. Mogren looking but not there. Zelensky on the outside goes brave on the brakes against O'Leary. They rub paddles and Zelensky goes sideways. Little bit of a touch on the rear, but no harm, no foul. O'Leary holds on just for the moment then in 3rd position. Vital for Marco Mogren's championship challenge as Mogren hopes to find some way to make the move. He hits the back bumper. He looks to try and give him a shot and he doesn't quite find it yet. So Marco Mogren holding on to 2nd, and now you feel that Kametz, okay, he can't get past you normally. He's going to try and bump you out of the way, and it still won't work. Zelensky now looking at turn 8 as an opportunity to make the move, but again, not getting the run, nor is Marco Mogren, who now needs to set up a run, but he wiggles. He goes wide through turn number 8, and that's going to hurt him through 9, hurt him through 10, and maybe Sven Kametz has just made himself safe. We still don't know if O'Leary's safe here, because Zelensky is driving fantastically through that S's section, but the drive to the line, Kametz, I think, has just got the number on Marco Mogren. Sven Kametz will pick up his first race win of the season, vitally in his championship challenge as well, to take 2nd in the championship and move to VIR with the momentum. It is 2nd for Marco Mogren. Thomas O'Leary will come home in 3rd, with Bobby Zelensky losing some big points in 4th position. What a fantastic race that was to keep an eye out on Tobias.
Yeah, Zelensky was so stressed out. He just drifted a little bit in the last few corners before going back to the banking. And there he lost the spot to maybe go drafting, to maybe stick to the inside. But great driving from all drivers here, especially from Sven Kametz, who I didn't even think about him before that race.
Well, Sven Kametz has been a long-time standing member in Stocks Out Racing. He has been up there, he has been challenging for titles, but of course Bobby Zelensky has been head and shoulders above the rest of the field. But of course, in a week 13 build, the setups get changed, and you have to find a brand new way to make yourself quick. And that has been a big shift, a momentum shifter when it comes to the racing. And with 3 rounds to go, it's going to be so telling when VIR roams in around the corner. Classified results, though, up on your screen as we speak. This is how things ended. Sven Kametz in the 66 takes a 2 4/10 win, or 100th win when it comes to it. He takes that win ahead of Marco Mogren, his own teammate, and leapfrogs him in the championship. Thomas O'Leary with a great run to 3rd position, with Bobby Zelensky in 4th place. Eric Blitz comes home 5th with Logan Clampett in 6th place. Dan Roper comes home 7th with Justin Kruithoff in 8th. Martin Kapal then finishes in 9th, with James Kidd rounding out the top 10. Daniel Thompson finishes 11th, with Carl Streichard struggling on the alternative strategy in 12th place. Eric Hall, last of the finishers on the leading lap, in 13th, with Shane Hunter 14th. Paul Smith, Danny Solo and Clifton Cockrell all finish multiple laps down come at the end of it. We're going to step aside, though, very briefly here on the iRacing eSports Network. Make sure you subscribe right now if you haven't already, because we've got the post-race show coming to you after this.
usage.
averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons, change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons, changing right side tires.
Well, an enthralling race around the circuit of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The road course is not just an add-on, it can produce some great racing as well, and one which had to be shown all the way to the end here on the iRacing eSports Network. Sven Kamet joins us in the commentary booth. Sven, it's a race victory. It moves you to second in the championship, and such a vital win, especially considering that last lap.
Yeah, finally a win. It's been I've been waiting for it for quite a long time. It was a good race, definitely good for the championship standings, but for the championship everything will still be on the final 3 races in the end. But yeah, very happy with the win. I mean, it's been not yet in V8 SuperTrucks I've managed one, so we're very happy with it.
First win in the series, and one which has desperately been a long time coming, but it seemed that you were building up that gap, and through the pit stop phase, you dropped backwards a little bit towards Marco Mogren, who certainly did have a turn of pace here today. But how do you defend around Indianapolis, knowing that there is that big, long attack from turn 12 all the way to turn number 1, where you're going pretty much full throttle?
Actually, I wasn't really an overtaking spot because, well, it is indeed fully flat out, but draft was almost non-existent. Even within half a second, there was almost nothing to be gained just by following someone. So it really had to come from a mistake from somebody else just to get ahead or even make an opportunity to have an overtake.
Well, an opportunity was yours, a big victory. Virginia awaits you at Virginia International Raceway. A classic track in terms of iRacing heritage, but one which is very, very windy and can be very, very difficult to get a setup right. How do you think that the Chevrolet-Toyotas are going to handle that?
Well, there's been a slight update to the suspension again, so handling-wise everything's changed again, but Virginia for myself is a new track, so I know roughly where it goes, but I haven't actually done any laps on it, so it will definitely be an interesting race to tackle with the trucks.
Shout out, sponsors, who gets it done for the race win.
I would like to thank Marco and Thomas first for helping me with setup testing. And for the rest, we do have a few sponsors for Radicals Online, which would be Six Sideways, Astro Sim Race, Joel Real Timing, Arma Centrum, Groundfield Simulation, and finally the My Opinion Therefore Fact podcast.
No worries at all. Sven Kamet's then coming home with a race victory. Marco Mogren comes home in second. Marco, an opportunity to gain points. You have gained points in the championship, but despite that has still lost a position overall. Close to a race victory, but never really had the magic moment to make it happen.
No, this is a tricky track to overtake on. Basically only have turn 1, and I felt Sven had some great exits onto the oval, so never really got a good shot.
And on the last lap, you were looking for that opportunity. There was a little shot to the back bumper heading towards turn 6. But in terms of trying to find your way through, was it literally like scraping the bottom of the barrel at times, knowing that you had the pace today to go out and set a really, really nice time?
Yeah. To be honest, the back to the bump, or bump to the back of Sven was just a friendly reminder that I was there. I don't think... in coming into this race, I wasn't expecting that much. Qualifying went quite bad. In practice, I didn't have the pace of Sven or Tomo, so I was just happy being there. Tried to make it exciting, but didn't really make it work.
Well, it didn't happen in the end for you, but you know, you're looking towards Virginia. What's your thoughts about a very, very windy track like that?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. First time I'll race there. I think practice will be key. Finding a comfortable setup for such a technical track.
No worries at all then. Marco Mogren then having a fantastic drive into second position. Third went to Thomas O'Leary at the end of racing. Thomas started second, went back down into third position. A struggle for you today in some respects. Do you feel that the decision to pit early for tyres cost you in the long run?
Possibly, but it felt better at the time because my tyres were pretty bad towards the end of the first stint. And I could see my pace was dropping off, so it felt natural just to pit, even if that did cost me towards the end.
And a lot of defending you had to do in the late stages with Bobby Zelensky, of course, the championship leader behind you. Just how did that end up for you, knowing that you had a lot to work on, a lot of looking in your rearview mirror, shall we say, instead of focusing on racing further forward?
Well, Bobby's a quick guy, so I knew that he'd be on my tail quickly. But in terms of defending, it's pretty simple. I mean, just as long as you don't focus on your mirrors, then you don't make the mistake. But I know towards the end, Bobby was trying to maybe send up the inside of turn one, or the outside, sorry. But managed to keep him at bay.
Kept him at bay and crucially did so as well. Thomas O'Leary coming home in third. Championship leader Bobby Zelensky, position number 4. A hammer blow then to your championship lead, one that you didn't really, one that you couldn't really afford to have, shall we say, but one which will only go down as tis but a scratch.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that wasn't my best event I've had in this league. Probably. I binned it in qualifying, had second. Going onto the oval should be the simple part, and screwed that up. And then in the race, man, it's so difficult to overtake here because it's pretty simple to defend if you know what you're doing, and I just couldn't make it work. And yeah, I tried to pit later and everybody have a tire advantage, but I still couldn't really get the pass done. I didn't really have speed overall. I think a couple things in the setup. I usually kind of go based off the SOR community setup, and I hated how that drove this week, so I made something myself, and I don't know if it was the best, because I felt like I sacrificed some camber I probably shouldn't have, but that was good on the long run, though, is the thing. I was really good on the long run, just when you're behind trucks, that doesn't matter.
And having a new build turn up pretty much a few days before, racing action starts. How much of a scramble is it to try and work everything out with the vehicle? What's changed? What works? What doesn't work? And how difficult is it to actually find yourself back up to pace? And how long do you expect drivers to get back up to pace with this new vehicle?
Yeah, it's always a challenge because you don't know what exactly changed. They never tell you exactly what changed, so you don't really know exactly what to do. But for sure, for the next round, I'll get it figured out. I think this week I couldn't commit a ton of time figuring out the setups in these because in 3 days there's a peak race at Indianapolis in the playoffs, and I'm in the playoffs, so it's a pretty time-consuming thing. And just usually this works for me. I kind of know my way around the truck. I probably and that's not to use it as an excuse. I think I was fine on speed. I just you can't half-ass this stuff. You can't disrespect the competition like that. So I deserve to not win, or I deserve to get fourth. I thought that was a good spot for me. Everyone ahead of me did a better job, and well done to them.
Damage limitation then, heading to Virginia for Bobby Zelensky. Going to get a chance, though, to talk to Justin Kuratoff, who had a fantastic drive today, actually. Went up a full 8 positions, the most out of anybody in this grid. Justin, how do you make overtakes at a circuit which every one of these 4 drivers has said it's almost nigh on impossible?
I really don't know the answer to that. Just throw it in there and hope for the best, I guess. And race with guys that give you room, which was very convenient.
Well, you had a lot of room given to you. You had a lot of work to do in this event. Are you hoping to get yourself a nice little hard charger award come the end?
That'd be nice. It's a nice side effect. I didn't really plan on it. Just didn't feel very confident, so decided not to qualify and kind of figure the race out as I went. So.
Well, you figured it out as you went. +8 positions. Justin Krutov having a very, very solid drive. And let's just get one exciting driver in. We're going to get Paul Smith back into the conversation. Paul, that didn't end the way that you wanted it to come the end of that race.
Oh, no. That is, if I'm honest, no, that wasn't the best way of finishing it off, but there you go. Yeah, just went a little bit too fast into that sequence of corners and lost control of the truck. I thought I'd kept out of everyone's way, but unfortunately I got in front of Clifton Cockerell, so I do apologise to Clifton for that one, for bringing him involved in that one. But it was an interesting experience to try out the truck and to see how it feels, and it's a lot harder than these guys make it look, that's for sure. So I think I'll be sticking to the commentary box next time out, that's for sure.
That much is very, very helpful. But for those who are looking to maybe attack these trucks for the very first time, come week number 1 in iRacing's new, shall we say, autumn build, what sort of hint or tip would you give to someone looking to try and start out and looking to forge a career path?
You're asking the wrong person here. You're asking the guy who just went and wrecked. I would say don't be so heavy on the throttle. Because the truck moves about quite a lot, so you've got to have a good feel for how the truck is and get yourself a decent setup. And we did have a decent setup, so thanks to Soxat Racing for providing that. But yeah, careful on that gas pedal, because if you get too happy on it, then around she goes, and that's exactly what we found out today.
It certainly is. Paul Smith then, RaceSpot TV's very own, not having the best finish in the world, only P15 for that one. But Tobias, one thing then before we head over towards the end of proceedings, who is your pick for the hard charger?
I'm not sure, but I think it's, for myself, it's Justin Krutov. No words needed.
No words needed. I'm going to say my pick is Dan Roper. He had a very, very strong drive, a very bold drive as well, and to finish 7th and a full 9 seconds ahead of Justin Krutov, I have to say that's very, very impressive indeed. But that's all that we have time for here on the iRacing Esports Network. But to those that get it done for us, and Vern Designs, the official graphics partners here at RaceSpot TV, along with Istvan Ballo's Track Cams 22, make sure that you check them out. Our live timing and scoring was brought to you by Nick Disson with ATVO and Apgeneer, the official graphics engine here at RaceSpot TV, with animations done by Simon Grossman. That's not all that we have for you on RaceSpot TV, though, this week, because on RaceSpot TV's YouTube channel, we've got the Major Series, and we're going dirt-bound. Knoxville Nationals will be coming to you at 4 p.m. GMT, but for the time being, that's Hugo Louise behind the cameras, that's Tobias Brockman, and I'm hashtag Do You Mind Jake Sperry, the observer of sim racing. Kamets gets his first win, but more crucially than that, the title challenge gets a little bit closer with 3 rounds remaining. Virginia, well, it's calling, Mountain Mama.